Good morning. It is 9 o'clock on this Memorial Day, and we are still here for you from the weather desk. You know, I was already working doing daybreak, and you bet we'll give you this holiday edition of the weather desk. It's today's top weather headlines, and because so many people are turning to the forecast right now, we will have completely for you covered the Memorial Day forecast, both locally and nationally. We're going to talk about rain chances. There's a part of the country that still has to worry about severe weather later today. Not here in the 757, but other parts of the country. Will be looking at that. Kilauea is erupting again. We are going to watch again some video spewing. We've got lava spewing several hundred feet into the air. Pretty dramatic stuff. It's been an active cycle. Kilauea started back in December with these kind of on and off again eruptions. Some more video to show you that. International flooding updates. We have Australia, which was really hit hard. We'll talk about that. We've got some more drone footage from Australia. And then also India dealing with some flooding from around New Delhi. So we'll talk about that. Then we're going to turn our attention to the tropics. If you haven't already heard, we'll talk about the outlook. But we're also going to talk about a variety of names. You know, we call them hurricanes here in the Atlantic, but there are other names for those tropical cyclones in other parts of the world. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. You'll learn a lot more about that. It's kind of fun. We're also going to look back at an early season storm, one of the strongest June hurricanes on record, Audrey. So we're, what, 5 days out now, I think, from the start of the hurricane season, 4 or 5 days out. We are going to talk about June hurricanes. They can sometimes happen. So stay tuned, plenty to talk about. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. I'm broadcasting to you from our studios in Norfolk, Virginia, right at Norfolk, Virginia Beach, the southeast part of Virginia, northeast North Carolina, here at the 13 News Now studios, and I'm glad you found us here at the weather desk. We're going to start off by taking a look at the Memorial Day forecast, and you can see some big storms back across Texas this morning. There was a watch issued. Looks like the severe weather threat has gone down for now, but we'll talk about chances for more rough weather in this part of the country coming up. We'll turn our attention quickly to Hampton Roads. I know a lot of our viewers here on the weather desk are tuning in from northeast North Carolina and much of Virginia as well. We had wet weather early this morning when I came in. And if you've got plans to get out around Virginia Beach today, taking advantage of this Memorial Day, things are not looking terrible at the beach. I mean, we're not looking at thunderstorms or anything like that. There could be a passing sprinkler or two, but this is what's not so good. Temperatures are in the mid 60s, so it's going to be a cool, kind of overcast beach day. I do think we might see some breaks in the clouds later this afternoon. But our normal high is now 80 degrees, so temperatures 15 degrees below. I'm sure a lot of folks that came in for the weekend, they enjoyed Saturday. Sunday was beautiful. We had a lot of sunshine. But here it is Memorial Day, and we do have the clouds. UV index, that's a good thing. It is low, and the rip current threat also low. We've had the Steel Pier Classic, the surfing competition down at the First Street jetty area and First and 2nd Street. They've been enjoying some nice waves over the past couple days, but less surf to work with today. Water temperatures at 67. Now, for folks wanting to get out, maybe do a little fishing or get out on the water, recreational boating today, near the coast, the sea's really not a big problem at all, just 3 feet. East winds about 10 to 15 knots on the bay, lower part of the bay. It's pretty flat, waves just a couple of feet. East winds 5 to 10 knots. High tide at Sewell's Point at 9, and we've got a low tide at 3 o'clock this afternoon. All right, now some folks like to get to the beach. Some folks like to get out on the water. Some folks just like to sit around with friends, maybe do a little cooking for the family, getting out the grill. Temperatures chilly this morning. Afternoon temperatures should reach the mid to upper 60s. It'll be mostly cloudy for a while and then partly cloudy as we head into the evening. Not a bad day for grilling. You know, when it's super hot and humid out there, you fire up the grill and you feel like you're punishing yourself. Today it'll be cooler, so, you know, you check on those dogs and the burgers and feels pretty good. Some of that heat coming off the grill when temperatures are in the 60s. That's the case for Hampton Roads today. UV index, as I mentioned, low, just 1 to 2 on the scale, so really not a big problem. I would still say if you're going to be out all day, never a bad idea to apply a little bit of sunscreen. All right, as we take a look now at the central U.S., I do want to show you the severe weather outlook. There was a watch earlier for north central Texas, and there is the potential for some excessive rainfall. So maybe a little bit of flooding. It's a little more likely in those darker shaded areas. I showed you that heavy rain that pushed through Texas, and we're still looking at moderate to heavy areas of rain through eastern Texas. Back across Louisiana, Arkansas, northern parts of Mississippi into northern Alabama and western Tennessee. Pretty good chances for some excessive rainfall in spots. It's possible, but less likely for these areas shaded in lighter green. This extends from South Carolina and Georgia up into westernmost parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, southern Kentucky, southern Missouri. This area really got a lot of rain over the weekend, and then that rain chance extends out across Kansas and back into Colorado, New Mexico, and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. That's the flood potential. As we look at the severe weather potential, you see down across central Texas, maybe even a little bit into west central Texas, we do have a level 3 or enhanced risk of severe storms. So you have the level 1 in green. This is south of Hampton Roads in our immediate viewing area, but southeast U.S., South Carolina, Georgia, across Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, southern Arkansas, back into Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico, parts of Colorado, under the level 1 or marginal risk. Then you get into that slight risk, level 2, shaded in yellow. That's East Texas, back into Louisiana, but central Texas, level 3, the enhanced risk. Tornado potential, just kind of the lowest on the scale of elevated risk. There is a chance, though, for a few isolated rotating cells, something that we will be mindful of. And then you look into the strong wind potential, winds in excess of 59 miles per hour, 58, 59 miles per hour. That's where we tend to see damage start to occur. You know, you get some limbs off of trees, or maybe you get some siding damage or some things kind of blowing around a bit more. You have that potential across central Texas and into northern Louisiana. Chances extend out to the coast, but it's pretty low down across the southeast. Larger hail is a bigger concern, and there was some incredible video I saw on ABC News this morning. They had a hailstone that they were holding it up next to a baseball cap. So a little bit smaller. The hat might have been a little bit loose on it, but it was nearly the size of a human head, this hailstone that they had. And it was really amazing to see that. Large hail potentially, hopefully not that big. That was incredible, but certainly in excess of 2 inches in this area hashed out. And it is likely across central Texas. So that will be our area of concern for large hail. Now, we take a look at the travel forecast. Again, chances for showers or storms in Orlando and Atlanta, rain showers around Raleigh. We've got our chances for showers here. Going down later this morning for Hampton Roads, but there's still a chance for a few showers. Northeast North Carolina, a few rain showers there as well. New York, Boston, Cleveland, all looking good. Looks good up around Baltimore. You can see back across the central U.S., we have clouds around St. Louis, nice in Chicago, Minneapolis, beautiful today. Omaha has that chance for showers. Oklahoma City, Dallas could see showers or a few storms. Down in Houston, looking pretty good, partly cloudy there, but chances for storms just to the north and west of Houston. So I would stay weather aware down in Houston just in case you get hit with a stray shower. Phoenix looking good, San Francisco looking good. Also Vegas, it's going to be hot for Phoenix and Vegas, but it seems like it always is this time of year. San Francisco and LA a little bit cooler. Beautiful in Salt Lake City, that 86, remember, that is a dry 86, so it really does feel good around the Salt Lake Valley. Billings, 75 in Seattle, chances for showers. All right, we are going to turn our attention out to Hawaii and the Big Island again and take a look at the volcano there, Kilauea, and we're going to take you out there where Kilauea is erupting once again. Look at this video. Is that gorgeous? Wow. You take a look. It is amazing. This is one of the world's most active volcanoes. This is lava fountains. This actually occurred yesterday afternoon. But when you look at like water fountains in parks, you get that type of a look. Now imagine lava spewing hundreds of feet into the air. This volcano has been erupting off and on since December. This is now the 23rd episode in this ongoing eruption. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the latest episode began with activity in the North Vent, with fountains reaching more than 1,000 feet. Can you believe that? Fountains of lava from the North Vent reached 230 feet high just recently, and geologists say ongoing eruption has been following this very active pattern.
So what tends to happen is the pressure builds up below the summit of Kilauea because there isn't an outlet. At some point, the magma makes it to the surface, and since it has a fair amount of trapped gas in it, it is erupted out in a fairly explosive manner. We've had fountains up to 1,000 feet high during some of the episodes. After that gas is kind of released and some of the pressure is released, then the lava comes out and tends to cap over the top, and that cycle restarts. So we're kind of in this repeatable pattern where about once a week we have an eruptive cycle, and then in between there's enough of a kind of a cap on that magma chamber to kind of start that pressure building again.
It's incredible. It looks like something out of like a science fiction movie or something that some digital artist created. That is Mother Nature, Mount Kilauea erupting, and absolutely breathtaking to just watch that video. Again, Kilauea is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. So we're, maybe I need to adjust this graphic a little bit and start taking that fountain a little bit higher on the image there. That was unbelievable. We'll turn our attention now from Hawaii over to Australia, and we talked a lot about this last week. The southeast part of Australia cleaning up after major flooding. Again, look at this, the aftermath in New South Wales, about 2 hours to the north of Sydney. The water swept away livestock and destroyed homes. An estimated 10,000 properties have been damaged, including several owned by a nonprofit that gives support to young moms. The CEO says they're working to clean up and get operations back to normal as soon as possible.
We did have the large flood in 2021, but it didn't come anywhere near our other offices, so we were taken by surprise completely. So yeah, we've lost everything in those premises. So yeah, completely unexpected for us. We knew it was going to be bad. We had no idea that it was going to be this bad.
Been working so hard to get all of that cleaned up. I want to show you not just what's happening in Australia as they recover from the floods, but we're going to take you to India now, where they had quite a bit of flooding over the weekend. Heavy rainfall washed out roads and tunnels in New Delhi on Saturday. Several cars got stuck in the water, and dozens of flights also had to be diverted during the storm. Something to see there. All right, we are closing out May. Today is the 26th, and we're now less than a week away from the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. It runs from June through November. The National Atmospheric Oceanic Administration, or NOAA, released last week the predictions for this year, and the agency says we can expect to be most likely average or above average in terms of activity. Forecasters are projecting 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 expected to strengthen to hurricanes, and among those, 3 to 5 could develop into major hurricanes, which means Category 3 or higher. Now, with this being the prediction, and again, they figure there is a 60% chance we're going to finish above average. All right, there is a 30% chance that we are going to be average with those numbers that you see right there, and a 10% chance that we would be a little bit below average. Again, this is coming from NOAA last week. Now, did you know tropical cyclones are called, obviously, hurricanes? Here you hear us talk about hurricanes all the time. But did you know other parts of the world have different names for these cyclones, these tropical cyclones? My colleague, meteorologist Evan Stewart, explains.
Tropical cyclones are intense rotating storm systems that form over the warm ocean waters. And while we know them as hurricanes, they're known by different names depending on the region where they occur. Now, despite a different name, all of these storms have strong winds, heavy rainfall, and the potential for widespread damage. Starting out in the Atlantic and Central and Eastern Pacific, these cyclones are called hurricanes. Now, the name hurricane comes from a Spanish adaptation of the indigenous Caribbean Taino people's word huracan. That refers to a god of storms. In the Western Pacific, tropical cyclones are called typhoons. Now, typhoon is derived from various linguistic sources, including Chinese and Arabic. By the time we get into the northern Indian Ocean, we have cyclonic storms. The word cyclone is derived from the Greek word cyclos, meaning the coil of a snake. But in the southern Indian Ocean, they're simply known as tropical cyclones. Also notice, since we're now south of the equator, tropical cyclones spin clockwise, the opposite direction that they spin in the northern hemisphere. And finally, in the southwestern parts of the Pacific, tropical cyclones are just cyclones. The southwestern Pacific includes land areas like Fiji, Indonesia, New Zealand, and Australia.
That's one of the questions I'm asked all the time. Why is it a typhoon here and a hurricane there? Or, different questions about, oh, it's a cyclone. Even I think down around Australia, they have another term, willy willy. Different names for different regions. Great explanation from Evan there. All right, as far as our hurricane names go here in the Atlantic, and we do call them hurricanes, Andrea is the first name on the list. That's our A storm. That'll be the first named system that we get in the Atlantic. And while it's rare to see stronger hurricanes form right at the start of the season, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen or that it can't happen. Meteorologist Hunter Forst is here to tell us about Hurricane Audrey, one of the strongest June hurricanes on record.
Audrey formed in the Bay of Campeche on June 24, 1957, and attained tropical storm strength later that afternoon. Eventually, the storm reached wind speeds of 90 miles per hour the next day. But shortly after, Audrey began rapidly intensifying on June 26th, and on its approach to the Gulf Coast, reached maximum sustained winds of 105 miles per hour by 6 p.m. and then 115 miles per hour by midnight. Hours later, Audrey made landfall between Sabine Pass and Johns Bayou, Louisiana, around 7 a.m., June 27, 1957, as a strong Category 3 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 125 miles an hour. Hurricane Audrey is noted as being one of the strongest June hurricanes and earliest major hurricane to make landfall across Louisiana, as well as the United States. This storm brought massive storm surge up to 14 feet in areas around the state and ranks as the 7th deadliest hurricane to strike the U.S. and the 3rd deadliest within Louisiana, killing at least 500 people. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forst.
So again, any of these hurricanes, regardless of where they fall on the calendar, they can all be dangerous. Of course, there are different times during the year where different parts of the Atlantic basin become a little bit more dangerous or more likely to produce tropical systems. And we'll talk more about that, of course, as we go through this upcoming season. You take a look at the list again. I mentioned Andrea, the first name on our list for 2025. Barry is next. Then you go to Chantal. There's Dexter, Aaron, Fernand, and Gabrielle. Are you noticing a pattern with these names? You go girl name, then boy name, girl name, then boy name, and it alternates back and forth. Umberto is next. There's Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor. Now, Nestor is the 14th name on the list. If you recall, 14 is the normal or average number of names that we've seen in the Atlantic between 1990 and 2020. So that's a 30-year average, 14 name systems. Nestor, if we hit average, would be the last named storm. But remember, NOAA is calling for a better chance it will be a little bit above average. So that could bring Olga and Pablo into play, maybe Rebecca. And if we keep going, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy. Then there's another list of auxiliary names if we burn through all of those. So there's a plan if this becomes a very active season. As we take a look right now, I'm happy to report, with us being less than a week away and looking out over the next 7 days, no tropical activity is expected in the Atlantic basin. But that's not the case in the eastern Pacific. Let's head over that way, and I can show you an area now that has a 30% chance for developing this tropical wave in the next couple of days, but a 90% chance once you go beyond that next couple of days. You get into that 3 to 5 or 3 to 7 day period. Here we have a 90% chance. Now you'll notice it's moving off in this direction to the west-northwest. Mexico, several hundred miles, that southern Mexican coastline to the north of this thing. So it is forecast and will stay offshore as it moves along to the west-northwest. But it is something to watch. And again, a reminder that the hurricane season is ramping up. While our waters here are in the 60s for the most part near the coast, you head down south into the tropical breeding grounds. We're talking about parts of the Western Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, down around the Bahamas off the southeast coast. It's a little bit warmer there. And then back across the main tropical development region, we have temperatures 80 degrees or warmer. So we do have some warm water for that potential tropical development to eventually work with. Nothing to worry about right now, and let's hope it stays that way for a while. All right, tree and grass pollen, also nothing to worry about here. Both those are low today. Weeds and mold, we don't have any readings on those at this time, so that's good. When we do start getting weed and mold information a little bit later in the seasons when we see the weed pollen picking up. And mold really can start anytime from June and run through the late summer months into the fall. So that mold season is going to open up here, and we'll look for more of that a little bit later on. What we have for you right now, just some showers out there we've been tracking for you this morning. Some more wet weather around the Albemarle Sound. You can see some spotty activity out to the west. We could actually use some more rain down around the Albemarle. You'll notice most of the area in pretty good shape. Off to the north, Maryland, moderate to severe drought up that way. For our viewing area here in Hampton Roads, southeast Virginia, again, we're in good shape as far as rainfall goes. It's a little bit dry, southern parts of Chesapeake into Virginia Beach, and then northeast North Carolina, abnormally dry to moderate drought around the Albemarle. So again, the wet weather that is in the forecast down there, that's not a bad thing. We'll see the showers here winding down as we go over the next few hours, and by afternoon, for the most part, it should be dry. We'll look for the scattered wet weather down to the south and some clearing off to the north late in the day. Tomorrow, the clouds push back in, and we're going to see rain approaching from the west. Now, this model I've been showing all morning, this is a graph model. It does a really good job a lot of the time. Don't know if this one's going to work out for tomorrow. Some of our other models would also do a pretty good job. The HER model brings in some moisture to the coast earlier in the afternoon. But for this model, the graph holds it out. The European model keeps it back a little bit. The Canadian model has kept it back a little bit. But the U.S. model, what we call the GFS, or the Global Forecast System, that's our U.S. global model. That one and the NAM, the higher res NAM 3K model, also brings some showers to the coast a little bit earlier. So it's really just a matter of which models are really hitting this and which ones are off a little bit. You'll notice eventually those showers kind of across Hampton Roads, but even through 9 o'clock, parts of Virginia Beach, eastern shore areas off to the north, really don't have too much. So we are going with rain chances tomorrow later in the day, but I think it's going to take a little while for it to arrive and kind of fill in. So we're going with about a 30% chance for tomorrow, maybe 30 to 40%, something like that. As we get into early Wednesday, chances for scattered wet weather. I think some thunderstorms in the mix as well. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook through Wednesday, doesn't have us outlook for anything severe. That would be a line of heavier rain. There might be some wind associated with that. Could be a little bit stronger if this model plays out the way it's depicting this right now. But at this point, the Storm Prediction Center still does not have us outlook for severe weather. Now, the NAM I mentioned and the GFS both bring some of that rain that you saw out to the west in across our area tomorrow. So that's why those numbers are going up. The graph and the Canadian and the Euro all hold it out to the west. So you've got the wet models, the NAM and the GFS, and the drier solutions, graph, the GEM, which is the Canadian, and then the Euro. We'll see how they play out. Right now, we're probably somewhere in between. I do expect rain to overtake the area, but if it comes in earlier, tomorrow could be really wet. If it comes in later, we may luck out for most of the day and into the evening with rain chances coming in on Wednesday. Here's what we have for you today. Temperatures upper 60s to near 70. We've had the rain showers. We should see some pops of sunshine late in the day, especially off to the north. Looking up there, again, we've seen our chances for showers already. There'll be some lingering spotty showers for a while, and then a few more peaks of sunshine here and there late in the day. Down south, chances for showers lingering into the afternoon and maybe even early evening. Could be wet down around the Outer Banks. All of our region much cooler than we should be for this time of year. We typically top out around 80 here in Hampton Roads. So it is going to be a little bit cooler overnight for inland areas, low to mid 50s, but I expect upper 50s near the coast. Skies partly cloudy, winds are calm. Tomorrow, temperatures back up to near 71. This is still below average, about 9 degrees below average, but partly sunny, and we do have that chance for wet weather late in the day and tomorrow night. The rest of the 7-day forecast, scattered showers and storms on Wednesday. A few of those storms could be a little heavier, possibly strong. Again, not outlooked for severe weather, but something we're monitoring. Some scattered showers or isolated scattered showers potentially on Thursday, and showers possible on Friday as well. As we get into the weekend, it's looking better and better for us, especially later Saturday into Sunday. So we'll look forward to drier conditions and a nice little warm up as we take you through the weekend. Remember, you can always get the latest news, traffic, and weather when you download our 13 News Now app. In addition to great forecast updates and breaking news updates, all that stuff from the 13 News Now newsroom, you also have access to our radar. So whenever you're out and about, maybe you've got some plans this afternoon, headed to the beach, you want to know if you've got to dodge some showers or if you've got time to run out and run that errand you need to take care of before the rain arrives, you can check your app. And whenever you're away from the TV, it's a great resource to stay connected to our forecast. I want to thank you for connecting with us right now here at the Weather Desk. It's today's top weather headlines. And I'll remind you, if you'd like, I'd love to get some feedback from you. If you've got a weather topic you'd like me to answer some weather questions, I can do that. Email me at weatherdesk@13newsnow.com. So that's weatherdesk@13newsnow.com. We'll get those emails and we'll get some of your questions answered. Also, if you ever have any weather pics or anything you'd like to share, you can email those to us as well at weatherdesk@13newsnow.com. Thanks so much, and thank you to all of the men and women who serve our country. We remember those who have lost their lives, made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedoms today. Here in Hampton Roads, it's such a huge military community. I come from a military family myself, and again, I know the sacrifices that so many make for our country. So a heartfelt, sincere thank you to everyone serving and who has served this great country. That's going to do it from the Weather Desk. Join me tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. for our next edition.